Okay. Well, everybody. Welcome. Peace, peace, peace. So, peace out of Cruz. Peace, Chief. Um, Little Chief already on it. Okay. you know. Um, hey, the Gladiator arena with the buying and selling of men is no different than modern day NBA and NFL franchise drafts. Distractions from political agenda. Thank you. I didn't even say that yet. How, you know how. But that's the takeaway, pretty much. I mean, because welcome we understand this. I'm Aki Low, aka Brother Low, or I'm just Low. You know, and we're talking about Gladiator. You gotta understand when we dealing with romance, there is a lot I could say. Ooh, man, there's a lot I could say and go in and things like that. But what you just said is right, man. I mean, it's that's what gladiators are. Slaves to further somebody else's dream and to fight and die on the sands. Yeah, you know. You only get one Spartacus. You only get one Spartacus. And even then, there was failure and a bunch of crucified people along the road. Just yeah. So, what we talking about, Gladiator, right? Oh, they be messing because that's really not messing up the big closing. Because I mean, Chief, that's just part of it. That's just part of it. You know what I'm saying? That's just part of it. If you ask me, that's part of it. If you make it into like a snowball, I mean that will be part of it for sure. You know what I'm saying? Um, my name is Precious. Peace out, Cruz. But I mean, oh man, we dealing with so much. You know what I'm saying? But I would say, what I'm talking about, that just hits home. Because some of us like football, but think about it. You know, look at usually be in chronological order, but F it. If you look at the Coliseum, still around in Italy today, in Italy. Um, that's the first stadium in a sense, or first big stadium. And that's not the only one. I mean, there other stadiums for chariot games, racing, horse racing. You want to say that, and just the whole architecture of the Coliseum. Look, that's where that's where your stadiums take their root from. And if your modern stadiums, that whole bowl, you know, architecture, it's still around, that open dome, and things like that, still around. You see them, you know what I'm saying? Um, look, talking about the Coliseum, and here I am thinking about the Emirates Stadium in London, and it's pretty much a new age Coliseum. If you think about it, if you look at it, same thing. Shoot, where I'm from, Soldiers Field, with the Greek columns there, you cannot tell me that place ain't no damn. Modern day Coliseum or Greek Stadium. I mean, it. Just look at the dang old thing. you know, everything. But yeah, yeah, that's part of it. So let's get into it. Now that we covered all of that, look, Chief then said it all. I can pretty much pack up and go home after that. You know what I'm saying? But nah. We still gonna go for the ride. you know. So so when we get to the start of Gladiator, right? We start off with a battle, in Germania. Mind you, this is basically talking about the Micromania Wars. Between basically Germanic tribes against Rome. You know what I'm saying? And there'll be more than one. You know, insurrection like this. But yeah, you can say Germania was a thorn, in the side of Rome for a while. For a long while, really, but for a while. But one thing about this battle, it's not really historically accurate if you pay attention to it. I'll be the first one to tell you. I mean, yeah, the costume design is great. Um, and whatnot. Hold on, Chief just said. The Roman Colosseum was built with acoustic projection in mind. Um, they angled it so well a person could speak a normal volume from the center and be heard in every seat. It's an engineering marvel. Yeah, Chief. Yeah, and and look, like I say, your stadiums take that blueprint and level it. Like, New Orleans, the dome. It's so loud, man. It's so loud. Look, Seattle Seahawks stadiums. Oh man, they are loud. The acoustics, and they have that in mind as well in your mind of stadiums. Loud as I don't know what, So it's the same thing. But he is right. It is a marvel. I ain't taking nothing from Rome. They could build some things, and that was a marvel. Even the Greeks can figure that out. But hey, that's a marvel. you know. Um, but yeah. So, we start off with an epic battle. You know what I'm saying? They first they try to placate the Germanic tribes with a let's just say an emissary to basically offer their terms of peace or surrender. And they basically cut off his head and send it back to him. you know. Um you gotta understand one thing. Look, we talking about marvels. The whole Roman army machine was a dang on marvel in itself, man. I ain't gonna lie. I like their at least their warfare. Unit warfare, I would say it like that. It's a marvel, and it's still studied, to this day. But they don't use it to their advantage in this movie. I'll put it to you like that. But you have the Germanic tribes, and you just see them in like one line, not being, regimented, you know, because they're all from different tribes. That was probably the downfall of the Germanic tribes, was that they weren't unionized in the sense that they had a standard army. In retrospect to Rome, you know what I'm talking about. But when you see this battle, you see certain mechanized warfare, with the Romans, or siege warfare, because these things were used in sieges. You got the ballista, the catapults, and things like that, and you see all that level up, and you see them basically entrenched, like a wooden fort in a sense. They already in this battle, they're already basically setting up the terms on how they're going to fight and how they want the enemy to fight them. They want them to come to them. You know what I'm saying? And then you see, Maximus, he's off with well, the cavalry or the basically the equites. That's Latin, equites. Um, and he's off on the flank. Now, usually when you have infantry for Rome, usually I would say you usually want to basically have them in a you usually want to have them like in a content a content burnum or burnium, which is basically 80 men. That's basically 80 men, and usually it's like four lines, and it's basically a column like line, right? And sufficiently universally equipped, everything like that, and they go after the enemy, but they fight a certain way to where they don't get tired. They let the enemy charge at them, and they just hack at the enemy one one by one, and then basically once the centurion who basically leads I want to say platoon, leads the platoon. I'm just gonna say he's basically uses whistle. They switch places, and then a new man comes forward, and then another man goes all the way to the back. You see this in the TV series Rome by HBO. They do it better. That's how Romans, or the Roman legions actually fight. In a sense, because when you see them actually on the battlefield, they're like in two lines and stagger formation. It's stupid because you won't have the enemy charge, and they can easily break that. Look, see how long we can take on this. They can easily break that, but you see that, right? Um, and you see, Marcus Aurelius in the background, watching all in the purple. You know what I'm saying? Purple and gold for royalty. You know what I'm saying? But um, they win. Usually you could tell it was because of the cavalry. Or the cavalry units. So also, like I told you, a contubernium is 80 men. A cohort is 480 men. You know what I'm saying? So basically, you have basically six contuberniums. Six times four. you know. But yeah, it should be right. Yeah. Okay. Um, and so um after that, if you have 10 cohorts, you have a legion, and then you got to add on, the cavalry union, which is usually 120 men, you know what I'm saying? But for what it's worth, it's a nice battle, and then you see how they fight. Um, and Maximus is a general, basically general of the, as I said, northern armies, or the northern legions, pretty much, but they win, what I'm saying? And we can see, Commodus and Lucilla coming to the Germanic front, and you can already tell there's some incestuous passions between them two, as Commodus is full of himself and saying that his father's going to name him the successor. Now, in actual history, Commodus is really sent, to the Germanic front. His father sends for him. Um, Also, just to put sort of in context, um, Marcus Aurelius, he's known for being a philosopher. Um, his book Meditations, and a key player in Stoicism and things like that. But he was really a wartime emperor, because he had so many insurrections and things like that. He had to be bothered with the Germanic tribes and things like that. And also, just so you know, at this point in time, um, b- before Rome was ran by two emperors. One was Lucius Verus, That's why that name is important. And he ruled with Marcus Aurelius, but he died. He died of disease. You know. So Marcus Aurelius was pretty much left by himself. You know what I'm talking about? And so, he has this whole empire, you know what I'm saying? And he's just busy raising war because he's, dealing with the, pacification or the expansion into the north with the Germanic tribes, you know what I'm saying? People think that, he's dead, you know. One is Avidius Cassius, who basically runs, the eastern side of the empire, pretty much like a governor, you know what I'm saying? And he basically plots with um, Marcus Aurelius' wife, you know what I'm saying, to take the throne. And then when they find out that he's not dead, they still go, with it. But he ends up, Claudius, he ends up getting killed and whatnot. Insurrections put down. Marcus Aurelius' wife, it doesn't say she dies, but they don't say it's speculated that she got poisoned. Hey, them girls ain't loyal. You know what I'm saying? you know, but yeah, you know what I'm talking about. And so, you have that, you know what I'm talking about, and then you have basically, so we can get through that. And so now you have dang on Commodus, Proposition and Maximus, you know what I'm saying, for when he is emperor. I want you to, be my right hand man, you know what I'm talking about. And Maximus is just like, man, I'm just trying to go home. I want to go home. You know what I'm saying? He even has, Mark's really just send me home, set me free. Send me home. You know what I'm saying? And you got after that, he talks with, Marcus Aurelius, you know what I'm saying? And he talks about, being a farmer and things like that, and where he lives and whatnot. And then, Marcus asked him to be emperor, be Caesar, and he's like, I don't want to do this. No, I don't want it. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, that's exactly why you have to be in power, because you're not corrupted by the politics. Because Marcus has a plan to basically restore the republic back to the hands of the Senate. Okay, so you have to understand that. You know what I'm talking about? Uh, well, the Senate did rule for a time, but once Julius Caesar became dictator of Rome, and then emperor, all that stuff pretty much ceased in a sense. You know what I'm saying? And then from then on, you've been having emperor. And the Senate plays a role, but not like it once did. So here you have Marcus Aurelius basically coming up with a plan to restore the empire back to its roots, which is the Senate or Republic. You know what I'm saying? And he talks about it. There was a dream of Rome. And if you whisper it, it'll vanish. You know, um, I didn't realize that Caesar wasn't a person, but a title. Yes, it was a title. And it would take many I would say many transformations. Like Tsar, that's what Caesar is for Russia. That's the equivalent of they just say Tsar, but that's Caesar, same thing, things like that. Shalom, Sister Deirdre. Shalom, Sister Queer. You know what I'm saying? Greetings, Sister Moksha. You know what I'm talking about? They went to battle with the attitude that they are going to win or die. Yes, and Marlene, I would say the Germanic tribes did. You know what I'm saying? I can't tell you that about the Romans. Because I mean, if you're well equipped, you know what I'm saying, and well trained, you know, the outcomes more in your favor. You know what I'm saying? If you have a militarized unit like the Romans did, you know what I'm saying? That's how armies, patting themselves off of the Romans. You know what I'm saying? As time went on, in a sense, I would say, but yeah. So, you know, um, Marcus says, well, I'll give you till, late this afternoon to think about it. You know what I'm saying? And so, he talks to Scylla, and you find out they used to be boyfriend and girlfriend. We're just gonna put it like that. You know what I'm saying? Um, I'll just say this about Lucilla because she's basically the older sister of Commodus historically, and she also gets into a bunch of um plots to take out Commodus. You know what I'm saying? She gets, exiled to Capri and they kill her, you know what I'm saying? And then later kill her son. You know what I'm saying? But that's a little bit of the history, the real life history of her, you know what I'm saying? But they talk for a minute, you know. And then you have Marcus, I'll say, doing the dumbest thing in the world, is telling Commodus that he will not succeed him as, as Caesar. Why would you tell him that? You just because he already summed up in Alzerda's son and said Commodus is not a moral man. Well, if you know you're not dealing with a moral individual, why would you be moral and tell him what you're going to do when you know that could set them off? You don't know what they're gonna do, but he does it. You know what I'm saying, and ends up getting killed, strangled to death. Well, not strangled to death, but choked in a sense because he's laying in Commodus' chest and he can't breathe. You know what I'm saying? So that yeah, he knew his son was his son, so that was dumb to tell him with no witnesses. Yeah, with no witnesses. And okay, let's talk about it. You gotta understand, you see the dysfunction in Marcus Aurelius' two children. Lucilla's basically the masculine one, because when he talks, so he says, "What a Caesar you could have made," if you wasn't a girl or whatever, you know what I'm saying. But then you see Commodus, and he's just so whiny and yeah, I know the word I want to say, but sensitive. Was sensitive. See, sensitive. I don't have to say it. But he's so whiny. He's like, I just want you to love me. And things like that, man. It's like, man, if you don't, man, well, yeah. He's just like, I would, butcher the whole world if you just say you love me. Like a jilted egg on lover. Say it. Anyway. he just he just wants his daddy to love him. But that's the problem of a megalomaniac as Commodus was, you know what I'm saying? You can tell he got some daddy issues. He got some daddy issues. But yeah, he kills Marcus Aurelius, and Commodus tries to basically offer his hand of basically to get Maximus loyalty, but Maximus just walks away, once he sees that, Marcus Aurelius is dead. He already knows, he was murdered, he got murdered. And then he sees, his fellow general, his colleague general, Quintus, arresting him, thinking that the homie on the side, and you know, he basically arrests him and they're about to execute him. And so, you got basically it's not the Roman legion that they send, it's the Praetorian Guard. And the Praetorian Guard is basically the royal bodyguards for the emperor, you know. And so they're trying to do the deed, but they fail. Maximus makes light work of them. You know what I'm saying? And he, basically rides all the way home to Spain, you know. España. you know. Now, mind you, they're in, uh, Germania, Germany, right? So you gotta ride. I mean, that's gonna take some months. In hindsight, that's gonna take a while to get there. You know what I'm saying? But like he made it in 3 days on horseback. You know, it's not possible. But he makes it. And his wife and son are killed, crucified, and burned to death, and things like that. He buries them and whatnot, and all of a sudden, he gets you know basically hemmed up by slave traders, which is interesting just for the simple fact that he's on his own land, and already you got these, I would say, you know, Arabic slave traders on his land, and they just yank him, kidnap him. But it is what it is. You know, but you know, after that, you have basically we go to where Maximus is now, and he meets, Juba, which is Diamond High School characters. I never knew this dude's name for the longest. That's one thing you gotta look up. I never knew Diamond High School's character's name because they never say it through the movie. But maybe that's good reason. You know what I'm saying? But he's in Zuckerbar, right? And all they tell you is that it's a Roman province. Zuckerbar is basically in what's now Algeria. They're in North Africa. Now, they're in North Africa. Mind you, this is not a time where the whole continent is basically called Africa in a sense, you know what I'm saying? But they're in North Africa. Mind you, the Romans don't get past the desert, you know. But that's where they are. Just so you know, if you want to know what Zuckerbar is, it's in modern day Algeria. Because we're going to go back to this region more than once. You know what I'm saying? So we meet Proximo, who is, a guy that runs a Lyceum, which is basically, school for gladiators. And you know what I'm talking about? He buys Juba and Maximum. And one thing you hear is that Juba is a Numidian. Okay. Now, he don't look it, but Numidia was actually a kingdom, and it was in Libya. And one thing that's famous, if you don't think about nothing about else, when it comes to Numidia, excellent cavalry. Excellent cavalry. You know why? Because they rode with Hannibal, and they were his front men when it came to cavalry, the Numidian cavalry, right? So that's why you got to big up the Numidian cavalry. But, but you know, they rode with Carthage until basically the Battle of Zama, and they switch sides to Rome. All over, basically a marriage proposal that fell through on the Carthage side, and so because of that, they joined the Romans, which was the end. Was their fault. Carthage dropped the ball, giving up the Numidian cavalry. You know what I'm talking about. But Juba is a Numidian, so that's you already know. You know, excellent cavalry. But he looks like, in the sense that like they didn't have an empire or a kingdom. You know what I'm saying? And or a standing army. He's just like, I'm a hunter, you know what I'm saying? But no, them boys knew how to ride horses, you know what I'm saying? And they excellent cavalrymen, excellent cavalrymen. The Roman Colosseum would have been around 80 AD. The Moral Roman Kingdom was much later, but um, could there have been um, Moorish nobility at that time period of the film? Film has suspected timeline. Um, I would say, um, I would say yeah, because you're going to have um Moorish emperors, Moorish Roman emperors. So yeah, I would say so. But they're not gonna admit to all of that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I would say so. I would definitely say so. The film did have a suspect timeline, and you had to basically piece things together. You know what I'm saying, and sort of get okay. Where are we? Where are we? Where are we? You know what I'm saying? Like you had, you know, all these, you know, like when we get to Zuckerberg, you really don't see the melanin rich people of that region. It's like come on, bro. Like, like it were no, were no Arabs there. you know, that's a Moorish region. Come on, stop playing. So yeah, there would have been that. Now the question is, whether they would have been accepted in Rome at this time or not. Now that could be stipulated, but in their own provinces, Roman noble provinces. Yeah, I would say so, Chief, for sure. I would definitely say so. You know what I'm saying? Definitely say so. Because you would have that on the other side with like Greeks and Britannians and things like that, because they got to include them into the empire. You know, um, yeah, only seen dark skin representation as arena fight. Exactly, Chief. And you're in a region where we know is melanated. You know what I'm saying? And the Arabs don't come to later. They don't come to later. you know, with the Islamic invasion, they don't come to later. So don't let them fool you. But he buys Maximus and Chuba and whatnot, and you have Proxima giving his speech as he's dealing with the sword. How you gonna love them and basically being remembered as men. You know, and whatnot. And I like when he says that, because that shows you that if you are a man, you want to be remembered and die with dignity, but most importantly, be remembered as a man on among the people. Well, plus the Punic Wars had already taken place, so there would have been more remnants. I would say so, she. Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're gonna get into the Punic Wars anyway, as that goes on. But yeah, I mean, there would have been more remnants. And besides, they're going to be displaced anyway. Once see, they're going to be Carthaginians is going to be displaced anyway. You know what I'm saying? But shoot, I might as well say it now. You know what I'm saying? I believe Maximus was Moorish descent. He comes from Spain. If you know anything, Moorish people, Carthaginians, have been going to Spain before the Romans and everything else. So I mean, it's more than likely he was a Moorish descent. They ain't gonna show it, but he prays to ancestors, and you have to remember that you're dealing, with Spain. You have many different people there. You have the Celts. You have the let the Lusitanians, you know what I'm saying? But they all are in regions, you know what I'm saying? And it doesn't look like the guy comes, the way, and they all have their own pantheon of gods, and he never prays to those. All he prays is to ancestors. You know what I'm saying? And it's like he's praying to ancestors, and he comes from Spain. His wife is really, she a little Sade-ish. You know what I'm talking about? His wife is a little Sade-ish if you ask me. you know. So you already know what they try to tell you, for sure, Chief. I definitely thought it was more. Exactly. They just ain't gonna put the name to the face, you know what I'm saying, or the color to the face, you know what I'm saying. But yeah, so I would definitely say that, you know what I'm saying. He just comes from Spain. So, but I always remember that, we've been through up and down Spain for centuries. You know what I'm saying? I feel that way about about the Sephardi or the um, Sephardi Jews. You know what I'm saying? I feel that way about them for sure. You know, ain't no way. You know. But yeah. Um, so you have that, and then you see Maximus fight in his first gladiatorial games. Mind you, Mauritania, yeah, and Western Numidian were co-opted by Rome in 40 AD. So having them fight together, I thought was a clue. Exactly, Chief. Exactly. You already know. you know. Um, for sure. I saw that too, and that's why I was like, yeah, that's why they best buddies. you know, that's why they best buddies. But okay, so we talking about the first gladiatorial games, right? That he participates in. One thing you gotta, well, I don't expect you all to remember this, but with gladiators, there are many different types. You got your Samnite gladiators, which basically come from Samnium, which is basically in Campania in Italy, right? Most of these types of gladiators, come from people, cultural people. You got your Thracian. You already know that he comes from Thrace. Spartacus, he probably would have, trained. He was a Thracian. He probably trained like a Thrax or Thracian. I just say a Thracian. You have the Murmillo. You have the Retiarius, which is the one with the net and the trident. You know what I'm saying? Your provocateur and your Equus, which is your chariots, you know what I'm saying? And you're gonna see those later on. So I'm just giving you, a few names just so you know. And you can always tell them by their helmets. You know what I'm saying? Like the Samnite, he had, them big helmets with the I would say big eye sockets, you know what I'm saying? Graded though, that's your Sam Knight. Always got like you got a little hat on sometimes. That's basically your standard for Sam Knight gladiators. But like I say, you're gonna see more than one. You know what I'm saying? From I guess the poor man's gladiator. You know what I'm saying? And many more. Like I said, many types, many types. I just wasn't gonna go all into it because that'll bore you to death. You know what I'm saying? Um, and so, you see, him fighting with Juba, you know what I'm saying? And he wrecking shop, you know what I'm saying? And then you see Commodus returning to Rome, you know what I'm saying? And like he, basically run a Roman triumph. And then you have one of the senators, Gracchus, um, confront him on, basically, well, one, he says, he acts as if he's a conquering hero, but what has he conquered? Like, what has he done? Really, what has he done? What has he built? What did he do? But I would also say if you pay attention to Gracchus's robe, he's a Roman senator now. But I would also say that Gracchus is not a true bred Roman. Roman citizen. He's a Roman citizen, but he's not a true blood Roman. I think he's probably like a Greek or something like that. Reason why, because his the color is that he wears on his toga is black. Usually Roman senators that are from Rome wear red. So I'm like, oh, he must be a Roman citizen, but he's probably a Greek or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Usually that's what those outside of that wasn't born Romans, born Romans. That's pretty much the color that they wore, just to basically separate them from the rest. You know what I'm saying? But I found that very interesting. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, but he talks one, and lo and behold, where does he confront communists about plague and sanitation in the Greek quarter of Rome. You know what I'm saying? And and here you have communists being all touchy feely and talking about how he's gonna love the people and he's their father. He's gonna clutch them to his bosom like he got he doing some female stuff. But yeah, and then you have Rex say, have you ever hugged someone a plague, your majesty? And then he gets all up in his feelings. Okay, I ain't gonna say but says no, but you will if you cut me off again, you know but then he talks with Lucida. One thing she says is that greatness is a vision. I like how she said that. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? And then you have Commodus come up with his own vision, which is the gladiatorial games that he's going to throw. You know what I'm saying? Mind you, he's not the first one to do it, but he's the first one to do it to this magnitude, I would say. You know, and then, we go back to Greg and he says he knows what Rome actually is. He says Rome is the mob, and we ain't talking about the mafia, but Rome is the mob, a very big population of common people. We just say common people because you have to understand Rome is usually made up of poor people, which is basically plebeians, which they call plebs. You know what I'm saying? And I think the Roman nobility should be called patricians. You know what I'm saying? Then you got the slaves. But yeah. But Rome is the mob. He said Rome is the mob. You do this for them, they'll do this. You take this away from them and still they'll war. And then he says, he'll bring them death and they'll love them for it. Basically, Rome is the common dumb population that loves to be entertained. You know what I'm saying? And can't get enough of it. You know what I'm saying? They're and insatiable to, I would say, the killing of the gladiatorial games, and they love it. It keeps them entertained, keeps them from also, I would say, rising up against the nobility of Rome and the emperor. It hushes them asleep. You know what I'm saying? It keeps them asleep. It dumbs them down. You can still liken that to, like she said, you can liken that to your dang on sports. You know what I'm saying? Okay, give thanks to you. The patricians was the Roman Empire, Roman nobility. See, I'm still on it. Had to remember, like, patricians. Yeah, patricians. But yeah, um, but yeah, you just think, but it's just not sports. You can look, reality TV shows. Need I say more? How many dang on reality TV shows you got? You got. I always say a different day without you got real housewives this, real housewives that. You got the dang on. What was that one about them California Armenians in Cali? What was that one about? I forget. I think it was on TLC. Then you got getting married in 60 days or something like that, getting married to a chick overseas, just a bunch of stuff. And it's all for what? The mob. The mob might be you know. You watch all that stuff. And you look, Lion Events, that Fix My Life, all these things on reality TV shows. You, look, you think they do it for enrichment? To hush you asleep, to shut you the F up. You know, so you ain't crying about not having no food or water or clean water or anything like that. You know, shoot, Save the Last Dance, The Masked Singer. Do I need to go on? I mean, you already get the point. But yeah, even that's the mob. TikTok. You know, I say more, but that's when you got people participating in mob behavior. You know, TikTok, you know, Snapchat, IG, you know, all of that. You know what I'm talking about? You can liken it to church. Even celebrity social media, we love to be entertained and then witness the entertainers being assassinated and eaten alive. Yeah, yeah, cancel culture, chief. I would say that, you know, shoot. I mean, you know, sure, we talk about church. I mean, televangelism. I mean, think about what it's like now compared to what it was like, I don't know, back in the 70s or whatever, you know. I mean, look at all that's done. Ain't no circus like that one. That is Ringling Brothers. You know what I'm saying? When you get into televangelism. And they ain't even bringing out the dang on elephants. You know what I'm saying? And but you see that, you know, that's the circus. You know what I'm saying? But we love that. Let the sideshow begin. Hurry, hurry, step right on. Okay, I ain't gonna go into that. But same thing. You know what I'm talking about? And so, you know, all of that is to keep you quiet, keep you asleep, you know what I'm talking about, and things like that. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I ain't watched the reality. What? Yeah, my favorite. What was my favorite one? I think, shoot, everything went gone downhill once, you know, Real World and Road Rules. Everything went downhill after that. You know, that felt like reality TV. Yeah, then just like, what is this? Like, for real? This is too much. This is way too much. Way too over sensitive, you know, whatever. Yeah, tell that's on the post entertainment. When they call the scandal, people will speak on that more than they do their good works. Yeah, yeah, man. Hey, we can go into that. I mean, but yeah, man, they speak more about, you know, their scandals more than, you know, maybe they did a lot of charity work, you know, things like that, or whatever. They talk about that like it ain't nothing. TMZ, nothing but scandals, nothing but scandals. Everybody is so enthralled with, you know, these people's lives, you know, for what? You know what I'm saying? It- you know, nosy, just nosy. Anyway, so yeah, that's what the mob is. You know what I'm talking about? Nah, that ain't the mafia. That ain't the mafia. Nah, that's something totally different. But no, you know. But then we go back to Maximus, and then he goes, you know, say, "Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?" You know, ain't this why you here? See me kill, you know, because he also knows what the mob is, but he is saying, "Are you not entertained? I just did what you wanted me to do." You know what I'm saying? And drops the mic. And then, you know, he's basically giving them a message, but then they're still asleep. Maximus, Maximus, you know. Well, they're saying Spaniard at this time. Spaniard, Spaniard. Just imagine they should be saying Moorish, Moorish. But they ain't gonna say that. But they gonna say Spaniard. When you know dang on well, there basically is no Spain at this time. There's no Spain. You got to think about it. There's no Spain. There's no Leon. There's no Aragon and Castile. It's none of that. Saying it's fragmented, in that part of the region. Just like fragmented a bunch with a bunch of tribes. There's no Spain. there's no there's no king and queen there. Not yet. That comes later. But yeah, but they call them Spaniard. Like they know what that is. What is that? But yeah, in a but this thing they call him Spaniard in a region that would know who he is. Why? Because they've been going there more than the Romans before the Greeks and everybody else. So they would know what he is. But anyway, so you have that, and then you have Proximo, saying what you want, girl, boy, just trying to figure out what he want. You know what I'm saying? And then he's happy because he's going back to he's taking his troop, we just say his troop of gladiators, and he going back to Rome, going back to the big show. They've been playing AAA, what I'm talking about, AAA baseball. Now they going to the big show. The majors. We going to the majors. What I'm saying? Which Oliver Reed is good in this role, but we going back to the majors. And then he talks about, renting his freedom from, Marcus Aurelius and getting what's called a rudius, which is basically a wooden gladius, because, Roman soldiers fight with gladius. That's basically where you get gladiator, because you would have like even, the different types of uh, Roman gladiators. One of their main weapons would be a gladius. So yeah, but he gets a rudius, which even today in modern military, at least in the army, once you leave the army, that's what you get a rudius, depending on the unit. Depending on the unit, and sometimes what your unit name is, and y'all unit traditions. But for some, you get a Rudius, you get a wooden gladius, and then got your unit name and your name and things like that, and what they call you and things like that, and when you serve and stuff like that. So you get that, got your rank and whatnot. So yeah, I could have got one, but my unit was cheap. They weren't gonna give me that. So yeah. um So he said he got a rulers that gave him his freedom. But then he tells, Maximus, I wasn't the best because I killed quickly. I was the best because the people love me. What I'm saying? You win the crowd, you win your freedom. Basically, he's just saying, man, you win the mob, you win public approval. You know what I'm saying? They'll do anything for you. You're going to get your freedom. You're going to get your money. You know what I'm saying? And you see that with, NFL players and NBA players, baseball players. Shoot, you win the crowd, you gonna get your Nike deal, you gonna get your Adidas, you gonna get your own shoe, your own apparel line, whatever you want. You know what I'm saying? Because the people love you. We gonna put you in 2K. You know what I'm saying? And Madden, we gonna put you on the cover. You know what I'm saying? What pose you want? Just think about it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, you see that play out. You know what I'm talking about? And so they go to Rome, you know what I'm saying? And you see their first battle for Rome. And what is it? The Battle of Zama. Okay. Not the Battle of Zama, right? That is a battle between Rome and Carthage. And Carthage is where? Carthage is in, what's now is Tunisia. You know what I'm saying? That was what Carthage was, because it was on the coast. Big Navy. Big Navy. You know what I'm saying? And it's not there anymore. But, they had a very, very, very cool and interesting naval dock You know what I'm talking about? You know, and things like that. And who were they fighting? Hannibal Barker. You know what I'm saying? One of the Lions brew. You know, you got Astrobal Barker. You know, you got the father Hamilcar Barker. Never lost a dang on fight. You know what I'm talking about? You know, these are melanin rich men. Hannibal goes all he crosses the Alps. His greatest battle is the Battle of Cannae. Do you know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm saying? He goes all the way to Italy, to Rome's footsteps, but he doesn't conquer Rome. And who is it? Is it Maharbal? I think it's Maharbal who tells him, Hannibal, you know how to, know how to win a great victory, but you don't know how to exploit one. I'm paraphrasing, but you don't know how to use it to your advantage. That's what he tells him, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? And that's Hannibal. You know what I'm saying? And then he never goes back to Rome again because Rome is up to their tricks, and they beat him back all the way back to Carthage, man. And they fight the Battle of Zama. Which Hannibal loses. He didn't have the support of the dang on Carthaginian Senate. No way. And with his troops, he had fresh recruits. He didn't have his veterans, and Carthaginians, outsourced, with mercenaries and things like that. None of, and whatnot. And I already told you that the Numidians switched sides on them. You know what I'm talking about? That the elephants they had were not, properly trained or weren't seasoned trained, So even Hannibal knew he was going to lose his battle, but he went out anyway. And who was he defeated by? A man called Scipio Africanus, who would, basically destroy Carthage. But, you know, there's two Scipio Africanus. There's Scipio the older, his father, and Scipio the younger. We're talking about Scipio the younger. And you already know they give him the last name Africanus. And what do we call the continent now? Africa. And he ain't went no pass no pass down the desert into the the belly of the beast. Rome did one time and they got beaten right back. But that was in Egypt. And they got beaten right back. They didn't go back. you know. But that was with Kush and Nubia and things like that. But yeah, Scipio Africanus beats them, they completely destroy Carthage. Great saying, Carthage must be destroyed. So that's even a book. You don't know, but yeah. So they find the Battle of Zama, and they are Maximus and his people. They are the Carthaginians, but they call them the barbarian horde. But they are the Carthaginians. But the weirdest part is they got the weapons of what? Romans. Carthaginian shields are not square. A scutum, which is a Roman shield, which is a square Roman shield. It's called the scutum. That's a Roman shield. Carthaginians don't have those type of shields. It's usually sometimes more oval shaped. And the painting on a Carthaginian shield wouldn't be the Roman insignias that you see on regular scutums. It's something very different. Usually it's the insignia of the goddess Marduk, or half moon, things like that. Ooh, horses, horses with basically palm tree in the background. Many man, if you look up Carthaginian shields, you're gonna see a bunch of different types of shields for them, and it's just crazy. But yeah, but they're the barbarian horde, and then they bring out the legions of Scipio Africanus. Now, mind you, one thing you know about the Romans, they didn't use chariots. They didn't use chariots. They used cavalry for show, but you never see Romans use chariots. And not only that, they didn't use for warfare, and they didn't use chariots with swords on the uh I just want to say hubcaps, on the wheels. You know what I'm saying? That's a that's a I was saying mid Eastern Africa thing, like we did chariots and things like that and fought like that. But the Romans didn't fight like that. You know what I'm saying? But who you see on them chariots? Melanin rich people, melanin rich men and women. You know what I'm talking about? But that's the Equus, you know what I'm saying? But what? They're not dressed like Romans. They're in leopard, they got leopard, leopard hides on them and things like that. That's totally un-Roman. You know what I'm talking about? Where's the red and gold? Something like, I mean, come on. So you already see, right? But then you see uh Maximus leaving, things like that and um and whatnot. And instructing everybody to make columns and things, and basically, who giving them unit instructions and tactics, and they beat them. They beat them. You know what I'm talking about, and they win. And then the crowd just roars. He's winning the crowd, and then he meets communists, and then he tells who he is. He says, "I'm gonna have my vengeance." You know what I'm saying? And while communists might want to kill him, you know what I'm saying, the people's like, give him a life, get him life, and he can't go against the people, otherwise they're gonna turn on him. Now, mind you, historically, Commodus is a bad emperor, and he's easily fooled by the people in his camp. You know what I'm talking about? That's closest to him. And they put more than one attempt on his life. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, but you have that. And then after that, you know you see basically Lucilla meeting Commodus and whatnot. And then uh you see him, Juba, and Haken, what I'm saying, they're eating, what I'm saying, and you have and and basically Maximus is worried about his food being poisoned, and then you have Juba saying, you have a great name, he must kill your name before he kills you. So melanin rich to say. You know what I'm saying? But that's true. If you want to kill, if you want to kill somebody of great stature, you first sully their name first. That's just politics. You sully their name first, then you off them. You know what I'm saying? So the people can be against them. That way, if the people are against them, it's easy to make short work of them. Because the people ain't gonna care for them no more because they already been tainted. Or slandered. Things like that. So you see Maximus, he fights Tigress of Gaul. Gaul is basically France. You know what I'm saying? Um, there was a time when the Gallic region was a rebel of Rome. One of their chiefs of rebellion is Vercingetorix. You know what I'm talking about? He fights Caesar. He loses, but he fights Caesar. You know what I'm saying? Well, he fights Julius Caesar. I'll say it like that. He fights Julius Caesar and he loses. But because of Julius Caesar's expedition in Gaul, that makes him very rich, very powerful. And then what happens? He falls out with Pompey, and what does Caesar do? Crosses the Rubicon and takes Rome and whatnot. So it's a lot. See, I told you we'd be all here all day because there's just so much history, so much Roman history. So, but he fights them, he wins, but he does not, kill him, and then you have the the stand say Maximus the merciful, you know what I'm saying, like a joke, what I'm talking about. And then Maximus, meets Commodus again, and they exchange words, and then Maximus meets, Gracchus, what I'm saying, and they plot to, bring his army to Rome and whatnot. But then Gracchus gets arrested. Lucilla meets Maximus again, and they have a little lovey-dovey moment and all that good stuff, I guess. And Lucilla finds Commodus with her son Lucius Verus. Now, mind you, Lucilla historically was actually married to um, the real Lucius Verus that ruled with her father, Marcus Aurelius. Um, and they did have three children, and the youngest one was called Lucius Verus. You know what I'm saying? So know that you are seeing the youngest son of Lucilla and Lucius Verus. Now she gonna marry more than one man, but that's the first one. You know what I'm saying? That was her first husband, and she was basically the empress of Rome at one time. They didn't call her that, but that's basically what you could say. She was the empress of Rome until Commodus, marries. And so you know, basically Commodus threatens her by threatening to kill, her her son and her. You know what I'm saying? And so basically the plot is just unfolded, and you see Commodus taking action. You know what I'm saying? But Proximo frees Maximus, and Proximo dies, and then you see Commodus. Maximus gets arrested again. You know what I'm talking about? He gets arrested again. You know what I'm saying? Because the plan fails. You know what I'm saying? And then you see Commodus threatening his sister and doing some real incestuous type stuff, saying you're gonna love me, you're gonna give me an heir, so that my name, that the bloodline of Commodus will reign for 1,000 years. Am I not merciful? Megalomania, right? And so after that, Maximus is chained up in the um well, I say dungeon of the Colosseum. And him and Communist talk and whatnot. And basically Maximin quotes, Marcus Aurelius says, no man once said, death smiles at us all we can do is smile back. You know what I'm saying? And he said, what about your friend? He said, you should know he was your father. you know. But Commodus stabs him, in his, basically in the side, for the final battle. So he can win. Okay, historically, Commodus does fight in gladiatorial games, but they're rigged. You know what I'm saying? He mostly fights against animals. You know what I'm saying? And even that's rigged because he really doesn't show true courage. He usually fights them from far away and with archery. You know what I'm saying? And if he did fight people, they made it clear that you can't hurt the emperor. You know what I'm saying? So he never really fought like you think you think he supposedly did. So, but he did. He did fight, and if he won, he would pay himself 2,000 sesterci, which is basically equivalent to $2 million. You know what I'm saying? He was getting that NFL money, but in a sense, and that's just that ain't even for a year. That's just per fight. I'm getting 2 million per fight. And I ain't even fight nobody famous. You still gotta pay me. You see what I'm saying? I'm not fighting nobody famous. Nobody that actually got a good record. You know what I'm saying? But you're gonna pay me, 2 million each time I fight. Because I'm the emperor. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. So they fight, you know what I'm saying? And Commodus, he dies, Now really, Commodus does historically he does die, but he's basically strangled um by Gladiator. that they pay off or whatever. You know what I'm saying? He does drink, but he's poisoned first, and then through his drink, and then they choke him to death. You know what I'm saying? Um, remember says why he's in a bath, you know, um, and things like that. So yeah, he doesn't die, on the sands of the arena, but he gets poisoned and then choked out. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, and then who takes his place? The next one should be Pertinax, who was a Roman general. You know what I'm saying? And it really goes downhill. Like Commodus's rule. Like I say, it's the beginning of the end. From Rome, they're going out of their golden age, and it's the beginning of the end. It's gonna go downhill, like for real, son. You know what I'm saying? But as Maximus is deeply wounded, he returns power to the Senate, and um, he opens up, the death gates, and he sees his family, and he's reunited with his family, and he dies in Lucilla's arms, and she says, "Go to them," and he reunites with his wife and child through a dang on wheat field. The wheat is always in it. You know what I'm saying? That that's also something you should look at. Um, in the afterlife and whatnot. And Maximus' body is carried and respected, and everybody gives him a standing ovation in a sense, as his body is being carried off. You know what I'm saying? Um, and we see Juba; he's freed, and he says, and he buries, the wooden statues of Maximus's wife and son, um, in the sands of the arena, and he says, "I will see you again, but not yet, not yet." And then you got that good, good soundtrack playing in the background as the movie ends. You know what I'm talking about? And so, you know, man, Gladiator is good, but inaccuracies. You know what I'm saying? They had crossbows, they weren't using crossbows yet, not in that sense. So, but it's still a good movie. You know what I'm saying? It's still cool, but it's just a lot to take in when you think about Roman history. But just think about what the gladiator games represent, what the mob represents, and sometimes look at the cultural reference of a mob. You know what I'm saying? And why that is important to the control of a government or culture. You know, um, why you need zombified people, to really um, be hushed to sleep. You know what I'm saying? Um, and to keep them hushed to sleep, you provide them games. You may not give them bread, food or clean water, but you'll give them games where people die and whatnot, or people bash each other till they get themselves CTE. You know, but they dancing all the way to the end zone. Even though the money ain't gonna, last more than I guess 5 years, once they retire or whatever. You ever realize, the athletes, they don't have no long money, but you hear about these $1 million deals, signing deals that they have, but they never have any long money, that really accumulates wealth. You know what I'm talking about? Think about that at one as well. You know what I'm talking about? And shoot. And here we are. Look, here we are talking about that. And look, one thing that is, at least that was big today, is Deion Sanders signing, a number one pick from college, and he signed it to who? Jackson State. you know, just more entertainment, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Prime, Coach Prime, does it again. Mind you, if you ever been down there, if you know the history of Jackson State, they got many Hall of Fame legends. One is Walter Payton, but they got many NFL legends, and they've been had, college, SEC level football players in their dictionary long before long before the NCAA really became really big. You know, they were running that. You know what I'm saying? But hey, like I say, it's more to put to sleep. You know what I'm talking about? More to put to sleep. So yeah, think about that. Shoot, more showmanship. Think about the whole circus. Shoot, uh, chariot gangs. What were they called? The Circus Maximus. You know what I'm saying? The big circus or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You see that in Ben Hur. you know. One wife, one God, that I can understand, but one wife, it's not wise. It's not generous. I love that part. That's the old Ben Hur, not the new Ben Hur. The celebrity from the games can be leveraged in a real way, and that's what the movie Alito Battle Angel was about. Yeah, celebrity from the games can be leveraged in a real way. Not only that, you're going to see that also in Hunger Games. You're going to see that in Hunger Games. Same thing. Katniss, she leveraged her celebrity, and what she becomes the rebel. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, she leveraged that. You're gonna see that in Hunger Games. You know what I'm saying? Same thing. And I would say even in the books of Hunger Games too. You know, hear that, Emma Precious, because I know y'all on that. So, bam, I never read the books, but I got that one. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's one thing you're gonna peep out. You know what I'm saying? Shoot, yeah. I was gonna say another one that gives celebrity and leverage it. Um, I would say, Jordan, man. I mean, still got still got his hold on us, and from shoes to apparel and whatnot. And he ain't playing no more. But hey, you gotta have the shoes, man. Man, how many of them have been stolen just because they had his name on it? You know what I'm talking about? Hey, you know, shoot, KDs. You know what I'm saying? Look, King James. You know what I'm saying? They call him King James. Now you don't really want to be named King James. If you know the history of King James, the real King James. Of England. You know, but yeah. Um, all that is leveraged if you pay attention. You know what I'm saying? And you see that with celebrities, they leverage off the celebrity. You know, so many instances that we can go back and forth with. But yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So next week, next strong. Ooh, that's a lot. I get burnt out when I talk about wrong. So next week, see, I'm doing it again. Next strong, next strong, we go. We gonna talk about Dynasty Warriors, which what we're talking about is the Three Kingdoms period of China. We covered the Battle of Red Cliff. Now that was just one battle. Now we're going to cover what happened all before that. That's what that movie is about. We're going to cover the Warren States period. But the early stages. We're going. What really makes that nice? Exactly, in Marlene. So we're gonna deal with the early stages of the Warren States. Well, one of the Warren States period in China at that time. And hey, man, we're gonna have fun. Man, we're gonna have fun because it's all good. Dynasty Wars. This will be a good follow, bro. Chief, because man. I mean, you sort of, you'll sort of get a lot of context in a sense of who these people were. You'll probably get a little bit more context on who Southside is. You know what I'm saying? And what type of person he is that you really couldn't in Red Cliff. You know what I'm talking about? Because that's not enough time. There's not enough time. You have way more enough, probably 3, 4, 5 movies before you get to Red Cliff because there's so many dang on battles. You know what I'm saying? And Southside does so much. You know what I'm saying? You know, um, and just not him. With all these heroes of that period. I mean, it's so much that they do. You know what I'm saying? And it's just but it's very cool. It's very cool if you peep all the stuff that they go through. You know what I'm saying? Especially when we talk about Lubu, homie. We gonna talk about Lubu. Lubu could have been look, here we are talking about Moorish people. Lubu, said to be the greatest warrior, right? And Lubu could have been Moorish. You never know. It's called Lubu, you know. But yeah, we'll get into that next strong. But look, tomorrow we have Shimanu, you know what I'm saying, and we gonna get into that. Whew. But next strong, we're gonna get into Dynasty Warriors, and we gonna have some fun. You know what I'm talking about? And hey, give thanks to everybody. Ooh, what's our Gladiator historical action item? How do we self improve based on this new data? I would say that you self improve by being oh, I can't say honorable, but be a righteous person worthy of remembrance, and also be a person that is willing to fulfill the vision given. um, by I don't want to say king or whatever, but I said your leader, I guess, because that's what Maximus does in a sense. First, he is reluctant, to go back to that. But what does he end up doing? Being a actual, I would say, disciple to the vision of Marcus Aurelius. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what he says. This ain't his vision. This ain't what he wanted. You know what I'm saying? This is not it. And what does he end up doing? Fulfilling the vision that he wanted, returning the power back to the Senate. you know. And I would say, sorry, Gladiator historical action items. I would say Gladiator historical action items is whew, that could be a historical action item. know how to know how to know how to manipulate the mob. Hey, look, that is your advertising, that is your marketing. Hey, see how that works for you. I mean, hey, for those that are the schemers, the schemers of the world, they'll probably be like, yeah, how do I uh impressionate myself on the mob so I can get this money, you know, for these suckers. But that's wrong. Don't do that. It's supposed to be righteous. But true. A form of necessary warfare. Yeah, that is a form of necessary warfare. I mean, you have many many uh things like that when it comes to Rome. Also, I would say a historical um action item is probably figuring out how do you or are you when you see a empire falling, do you try to save it or do you let it fall? If it's already fall, no, if it's already on its way out, do you try to put it on life support, or, or do you just let nature take its course? You know, so that's another thing you can take away from that one. You know, because you're gonna have a bunch of emperors try to bring back the glory of Rome, but bruh, bruh, it ain't gonna go. Um, but yeah, man. Um, so yeah, I would say that, chief. I would say all of that. You know what I'm talking about? Um so good thanks everybody. I'll see y'all next strong. You know what I'm saying? And have a good rest of your night. Peace.